My name's David. I'm called W4KA. I live in Anderson, and I chase DX. I don't work local people, except on the Riviera, and an occasional lady meeting. But DX is my love. It's when I first got into ham, that's what I wanted to do. My first station was a DX station, somewhere down in the Caribbean, and I was hooked from then on. And I started chasing DX big time, and I made honor roll in 4 years and 10 or 11 months. 4 years and 10 or 11 months I had made honor roll, to give you an idea how tenaciously I went after it. I still got 2 bands I hadn't done work all states on, but it's just, if there's DX on the cluster, I don't bother with stateside much. So tonight I have a preparation about DX. I had planned this for sort of newer folks to radio, so this will probably be elementary to a lot of you, but anyway, I got some points that are very important about DX, so we'll start with that. First of all, you got to have a good antenna, and most people, especially starting out, don't have the money for a beam and high dollar antenna, so they usually start out with a dipole, maybe a loop, maybe a Wyndham, maybe a sloper, and some folks maybe enjoy a ZEP. Bill, I think you do a lot of CW, don't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, ZEPs, they're very good, and as you well know, that's a proven antenna. Oh, yeah. But anyway, when you're getting ready for DX, and if you're going to start DX, a good time to do it is right now. You got beautiful weather, get your antenna up, and then get involved in a contest to start off with. And like this past weekend was Work All Europe. Well, if you were chasing DX and wanted your DXCC, you could have got real close this weekend just working everything in Europe. That would have got you a good start. So contest is a good place to get your DX started. You got to have a good radio, and if you've got a wire antenna, you're probably going to need a tuner. And if you're a CW op, you more than likely want a good, at least a 500 CW filter in there for a contest to kind of squeeze it in and make him easy to be heard. And some things about your radio, if you don't know how to adjust it, get with somebody and get it adjusted. Now, there's a guy that gets on our repeater about every day. I'd probably call you, know him. And he works DX. He doesn't work a lot of DX, but he works DX. And some of the DX that we get, us local guys, that's kind of not too hard to get. Sometimes he misses them. He says, well, I called on the call, but I just couldn't get him. I know what his problem is, and I hadn't even been to the station, but I know his problem. I know that he's got a good antenna, and he's got a decent radio. His problem is his mic gain and his compression. I would dare say, if you was to go to his station today and check his mic gain, his compression, and get some DX on the other end to work with you, he needs to set his mic gain. It's very important. A lot of people just miss that, especially newer hams, about the microphone. But your mic your gain needs to be set where you can be heard, and your compression. And when it's not right, it's hard to hear. I've gotten on there with Dave Watson before, some of them, and just mine a little bit. And I get on the radio in the mornings, and I got to confess, I do get on 80 meters with local guys, and but they check my compression and my mic gain, and I want a good stout signal, and I want that adjusted until that signal is good and stout. So if this ham that I'm speaking of would get his mic gain checked out, I promise you he would probably get those stations that he's borderline on, and because he's got the same antenna that some of the other guys have got, and these other guys have got 100 watts, and they work him and he doesn't. And the only thing I know his radio and I know his antenna, so he just hasn't got that gain right. So that's very important. Just always make sure that the mic gain is set right. And like I say, get people, you know, if you say you work in Germany, you just ask a guy, say, what's my signal like? Is it low? And most of the time they'll tell you, and you can play with your mic gain, play with compression, get it to where he hears you crisp, and then when you DX, that's one thing you don't have to worry about. And most of you understand about a tuner. And on antennas, I don't have a particular antenna that I'm crazy about in wire. I like a bunch of them, but I'm going to send this around, let you look at it. This is just one example of a wire antenna that will work all the bands. It's multi-band, and the military uses it.
Wow.
And it's called a Sturba curtain. S-T-U-R-B-A, Sturba curtain. And you can add a bunch of more elements to it. You can make it very elaborate. They work well. They'll work like a dipole if you just put the Sturba up. But they will work extremely good if you'll put the radial system in. Now, you don't have to be that many, but probably 4 on 80, 4 on 40, maybe 4 on 20 or 30. But it's a good wire antenna, and most people that put them up just put the Sturba, and it'll work like a dipole, a loop maybe, but if you'll put that the radial system in, it'll work for you, I promise you. And the military uses those quite often. But those are instructions on it there that I'm passing around, and I've not built one of those. I started to, and I opted for the super loop for my wire antenna. Okay, so get you a good antenna up, be it a loop. You can get a beam, great. Beam's all the better. But you got to have a loop, some sort of antenna to get your low bands, your 30, your 40, your 80, your 160. Good radio, good tuner. Check that mic gain. Get your filters in there. If you CW, on CW, you just got to have a filter. If you're a good CW man, you like a good filter, right, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And another thing, learn how to adjust your radio for the best reception. You know, there's adjustments. You shift and all. Got to play with that. Just take a day, and as the signal's coming in, play with that thing and just get it just perfect on sideband. Same for CW, and kind of get in your mind where that's set. And it's little things like that, like mic gain, mic compression. Your radio is not quite adjusted, and so this is where my friend misses DX, I believe, and I think he could improve that. Okay, and you'll want a DX cluster. You want to be able to go up on the internet, put your little laptop in the shack, and get you a cluster. I use VE7CC. I like it because they usually post the rare stuff, and I like. I've got 2 clusters I watch. I watch QRZ and I watch VE7CC, but. You'll want a good cluster if you're going to chase DX, because it's sure nice to just look over there and say, oh, there's one I don't have. Not only can you see the ones that you don't have, but if you on certain logging programs that you buy, and/or I think Ham Radio Deluxe does this. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can set up your computer and your cluster to bing bong or make a sound when one comes up that you need, like for a particular band. And that's another nice feature of having a little software there. And like I say, the best place really to get started on DX, if you're kind of new and you want to jump in with both feet, kind of get started, is a contest. Like I say, this weekend, Work All Europe would have been a great one to start with, and that was sideband. Work All Europe is coming up, I think, in a month, Bill, on CW. I think it'll be the CW one. And then they have one for RIDI and data, PSK, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, so let's say that you've got your you got your radio, you got your antenna, you're on the air. You jumped into a contest and you worked a few stations, and so you start thinking about, well, I want to get my DXCC and get maybe work All State or something. work all zone or something. The easiest award to get to start with, and you can generally get it in the first contest you go in, you only have to work 6 stations. Asia, Europe, Oceania, which is Australia, North and South America, and Europe. Just one station from each of those 6 areas, and you can get your WAC. That's work all continents. You can get it in mixed CW sideband. Since I work CW so much, I did mine in CW, but you can get, that's a nice award that you can get, and it only takes 6 contacts. So naturally, I think this was the first one I earned. No, I earned something else for that, but anyway, it's real easy to get. 6 contacts, you get your WAC. So you're rolling on down the road, you're working DX, you're watching the cluster, and then as you're working DX, you notice that the guy's transmitting and you don't hear nobody but him. Well, that means he's working split. He may be on 14200 broadcasting, but he's listening up to 1405. And in some cases, rare DX will work up 205 to 220 or 205 to 210. Sometimes they're just up 1. Depends on the rarity of the DX usually. So they're again getting familiar with your radio. You got to know how to set it up for split. And split is nothing more than putting the receive on 14200, put your transmit on 14205, and make your call. Now you start doing that, and you finally get lucky, and the guy heard you, and you work the station split. So, first time you work split, it makes you feel real good. It did me anyway. I actually got it. I found him on the split, and I worked him, and it was amazing.
Tell them how they know that he's split. They'll usually say up 5.
Oh yeah. They'll say up 5, but the one sure way you know it, when you're listening to him on his frequency, he's the only one you generally hear, unless some janky from South America gets on there and calls on his frequency. And he gets in there a lot. I don't know if y'all have ever heard him. He's got 2 Y's in his call, and he pronounces it janky. And he's bad to not get split right. And so you'll hear somebody get on there and go, janky, he's up, it's up. But janky gets in the way. So you're rocking along, you worked a few stations, you got your WAC, you get that on the wall. And pretty soon you decide, well, maybe I've worked a few states here. Start looking at your states and you decide, well, I've got a few more states here. I'll just get on one day and call CQ. We'll get on there one day on 20, 17, whatever your band is. Call CQ, work all states. And people will go on the cluster and post your call. A lot of times it say, W4DJW is working all states. Help him out. And they'll put that on the cluster. And people go up and give them a state. And so you fool around, and the next thing you know, you got your 50 states, you get it all on paper, you get your cards if you need the cards, or you got it through Logbook of the World where you don't need a card. How many of you are familiar with Logbook of the World? Good many of you. Those of you that are not familiar with the Logbook of the World, it is a program at the ARRL. It's a logging program. And you don't have to send a card or receive a card if you are in Logbook of the World, if you're a member. And I get cards all the time through Logbook of the World, like Tunisia. I work Tunisia. He sends his card to the Logbook of the World. I log mine in Logbook of the World. And once he uploads to Logbook of the World and I've uploaded, bam, I got him confirmed. And in some cases you don't ever need a card. And then there's the old-fashioned way. Take the 50, especially for work all states, take the form, put each state, each call, carry your cards, mail them to the ARRL, or go to the local hamfest and have the guy that checks cards check your work all states. And then you get your work all state award. So it's not too bad. This one is on CW again, as I love CW. This one is on 160 meters. WAS, I'm proud of that one. It's not easy to get Hawaii and Alaska on 160, but you can do it. I mean, you can get a lot on 160. I doubt I'll ever work honor roll on it, but you can get some stuff. So now you've got your work all state and a WAS, kind of got your wall started anyway in your shack.
Can I ask a question before you move on?
Yes.
Work all states, does it have to be on one band, or can it be?
It can be
A mix?
Mixed.
Okay.
You can work 10 of them on 10, 4 of them on 15,
Okay.
20 of them on 20, etc. This one just happened to be a 160 because I wanted to do it on CW, and I finally got it. I remember, I think it was work all state, Hawaii. All I needed was Hawaii. And I hadn't heard him because, you know, conditions in the summer are not all that great. You generally got to work those guys in the winter. Guy from Alabama calls me at 2:30 in the morning, wakes me up. Who is this? He tells me, who? Tells me his call again. He said, don't you need Hawaii on 160? I said, yeah. He said, they own such and such a frequency. So I thanked him, and then I remembered I knew him from an 80-meter net that we used to get in on and talk a lot. And so I got up, went downstairs, tuned up 160, bam. Called him 2 or 3 times, and he wasn't hearing too many people, and he finally goes back, only the KA. You know, sometimes they'll be, only the KA. And I go, that's me, man. I sent him that call, and I got my WAS. It's just, you got to be persistent, and don't be shy with DX. When you DX, you got to, especially on rare ones, you can't be laid back. You got to fight for them. You got to get in there and say, at 4KA, just keep hitting it on the split and hope that it catches you. But you can't be too passive chasing DX. Probably more so on CW than sideband, but especially sideband. You cannot be a passive person and really reach the peaks of success. Okay, so now we got work all state, and then you got your work all continent, and you think, well, I've got 6 or 7 countries here. I got 10 or 12 more that I've worked, and so you start counting it up, and you got about 32, and you go, oh man, I'm only about 70 something from DXCC. So contest comes up, you jump in there, and you work a bunch of countries that night. I worked 67 countries one night on 40 meters, brand new countries. When I was rookie CW contest, big DXCC contest. I got in there on 40 meters, and I stayed on 40. I worked 67 countries and sent the cards off. I got better than half of it in one city. So that's why I always recommend those contests, because, man, you can knock them out in contest. And contests are very easy. You find out what contest it is, go up on the ARRL webpage, look up contest, and find out what the exchange is. Sometimes the exchange is nothing more than the signal report and a serial number starting with 1. When you work Germany and you give him a 1, and you work France, you give him a 2. And then you work Italy, you give him a 3, just, you know, like that. Now, there are some complicated exchanges in certain contests. Some contests want to know your age. I got in there one time and I'm working a contest, and it was where you had to give the year you were licensed, your age, and one other variable. I can't remember what the other variable. Section, maybe. Yeah.
Sweepstakes.
Yeah, sweepstakes. I'm going, I give the guy $5.99. I didn't know there was a contest going on. I was working. And he goes, info. Did info. I go, info? What's he talking about? I thought, and then I stopped. I thought, oh wait, this is a contest. I got to give him something. So I gave him a 1. Sent him a 1. He goes, 1 question mark. Why? So I listened for a while, and then he slowly spelled it out in CW what he needed. I go, okay. So I put in there license 89, 43, and section number, and got him happy. But if you don't know that information, go up on the ARRL webpage, look up contest, look at it, and if you just click on it, it'll tell you what the exchange is. So you always got to know the exchange in a contest. Most of the time it's a serial number. A lot of times it's not. Sometimes it's not, and it'll get you mixed up. So you go in there on the next contest, you work a bunch more stations, and you start counting, and you've got 103 countries. So you fill out your form and send your cards, get your cards checked out, and send it to ARRL, and you get your DXCC. And my first one was on 10 meters, I believe. But this is the last one I received. It's 30 meters, and it's CW because I like CW. That's all you can work on 30 is CW and data packet.
I don't suppose it comes framed pretty like that.
No, you got to kind of come up with your own frames. I like these. I get these at Michael's, I believe it is. They're very simple and they fit perfect.
Comes in a cardboard tube.
That's right. Your ward does. But anyway, then you got you're pretty proud of your shack now. You got DXCC, you got your work all state, you got a little odd one, work all continent. Things are rocking right along. So now you're getting into the swing of things. You work in DX, you understand that if you jump the contest, you can get a bunch of stations. And then somebody says, if you get your work all zone, you go, work all zone. I got work all continent. No, work all zone. Zones. Oh yeah, zone 8, I got it, yeah. Or whatever your zone is. Ours is 5. You go in there and you start working on all your zones. You start looking up the zones to see if you have them. And it takes there's 40 zones in the world, so that's 40 stations. Seems easy to get, only 40, but good luck on 23 and 17 and a couple of others. They're tough to get. Now I have work all zone, and this one is mixed here, I believe. Yeah, CW and phone because of the zones, but the rare ones. Here's where it'll help you with the rare ones. When you see a rare zone like 17, 23, and there's 2 or 3 others that are very rare. You go watch the cluster, and when you see those stations, especially Mongolia is a zone within itself, and any Mongolian station that comes up, work him. If you've worked him before, work him again. Just make sure you got Mongolia. And then you've got another kind of a strange one in your repertoire. You've got work all continent, you've got work all zone, you've got DXCC, and you work all states. Well, you're working right along, and you've been a ham 2 or 3 years, you worked a bunch of states, and you start thinking, I got work all states combined, now I need it on a separate band. You notice that on 20 meters, you've worked 47 states, you only need 3. Look on the cluster or get on the band and call the 3 you need. And then when you do that, you get work all states for all the bands. 10, 12, 17, 30, 40, 80, 160. I need 20 and 15. The reason those are not there, too much DX for me. If the DX is there, I don't bother with states. I need 1 for 20. I need West Virginia. I've worked them, I just haven't got the QSL card. I need 3 for 15 meters, and that'll have me 10 through 160. I'm not too worried about it. I know I'll eventually get them, but my heart is DX, so but as you're working it, you'll start beginning to pick up the bands, and before you know it, you'll have this same thing. And 160s is not that hard to get. It just takes persistence. Let a few people know you need Hawaii, and be prepared for a wake-up call in the middle of the night, because that's generally when you're going to get them. So now you got an e-ward with multiple stickers on it, and you're very proud of that. And so the old wall's beginning to look pretty decent now. You're getting another thing there. Okay.
Just a second.
Huh?
On that WAS, I noticed you have it before it's complete. So how many do you have to get the award to start?
50 states. Is that what you're talking about?
No. So like, is that each band gets a sticker, right?
Yeah.
So when do you get the award? After you work 50 states on any one band?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I work 50 on 10 meters, I get the award, and then I keep adding the different bands, and I get a sticker.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, what I did here is, this is the work all states. This award, if you'll notice, it's different than that work all state. That's the original work all state. This is the centennial work all state. Remember on this past year when it was W1AW/1/2? Well, that's where I got this. So when I got done, I just ordered the stickers for each band that had already worked, and I thought it'd look good down there, and it does. And I'm embarrassed on 20 and 15. I mean, 20 I'd eat one card, 3 on 15, but sometimes DX just gets in the way of the stateside, and so I'd rather have an island off the coast of India than West Virginia. So.
You don't want us waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning for West
No,
Virginia.
Don't, not even in the daytime. Don't call me about that. Anyway, so you've added pretty good selection to you all. You get your 5 awards there now. And then you kind of get interested in, somebody tells you about these awards that they have. And they're from overseas. And you think, overseas. Well, I got a bunch of Europe. And I got a bunch of some African, Asian, stuff like that. So you go and start looking in these foreign places. And I discovered that I had enough to earn these awards. And these are from Bulgaria. It's called the All Saints Award. Each month, Bulgaria puts a station out, and they put the LZ is Bulgaria's prefix, and it's usually a 4-digit number like 1215 and 3 JBC or something like that. And the guy will work January 1st to January 30th. If you work him, you put him in the log, and all you have to do is work 6 to get the award. If you work 6 out of 12 months, you can get the award, and that's the award. And then certain points for the different ones that you work will get you this award, which is anyway. It's some old Catholic saints. Well, I liked them because the cards were so pretty. So I'm a sucker for pretty colors, and so I worked them to get the cards. So that's something that's on my wall at the house. So 6 stations from Bulgaria, you can do that sitting on your hands. Easy. So you can just look that up. All Saints Award from Bulgaria. Easy to get. And it adds to your repertoire a little bit. Now, you worked all continents. 6 stations. That was your first award. Well, if it's only 6 stations, 6 stations per band, and the 5 bands, to get 5 band work all continents, 30 QSOs. Not bad at all. So then you get the 5 band work all continent. And didn't come with this frame, by the way. Some girl gave me a box of these frames, and that's what I used them for, was ham. But then you got your 5 band work all song. Now you got your first 5 band type thing. You get several bands on your work all states. You're rolling along. Now you're a true DXer. I mean, there's no doubt about it. People have to give you credit because you're a DXer. You got your zone, you got your continents, you got your 5 band, you got your 5 band on work all state, you got your DXCC, and nobody can deny you. You're rolling on down the road. Okay. Some other contests come up. How many of you are familiar with the 13 colonies? And did any of you work it this year? No?
Yes.
Okay, 13 colonies. All you got to do is work 13 stations, and you get your work all colonies. These are from previous years here. It's a very pretty award, and like say you work 13 stations, I generally work them the first day because I'm retired and I'm at home while everybody's at work, and by the time they get off and get home and get on the computer and say, "Oh, I'm gonna beat you this year," I say, "I already got them." Because I've been at home. Bob, ND7J, he tries to beat me every year, and this year he did. I liked one, and I didn't bother with it. And Bob got his 13 about 15 minutes before I did. He was so tickled to beat me. But usually, I've got to work the first day, and they're not that hard to work. The only hard part is South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina, because it's so close, and about the best way to get them is on 40. But sometimes they work 20, and you just can't hear them on 20 because you just get right over the top of them. So what I did was I loaded the linear up. I made sure he heard me, and so I tweaked my speaker, and sometimes I'll get that headphone just to hear that W4K. Yep, guy. But I had to get him with 1,500 watts. During the daytime on 20, because I was skipping right over the top of him. But ground wave from here to Camden, South Carolina, 1,500 watts will get you ground wave there. And but like I say, I generally knock him out the first day, so I don't have to worry about it. All right, we rolled along. We've got several awards on the wall. And we've worked so many stations now. We've been DXing for years. We've worked so many stations, and then we get our mixed DXCC with all the stickers.
Oh.
We've worked I'm up to 344. I need one more for the 345 sticker. But I started at 100. I don't know what happened to my 110 sticker. There's 125, 50, 75, 200, 2, all the way up 3s, up the 4s, and then honor roll. And not bad. You see all these stickers. That kind of impresses folks that comes in your shack. They start looking at the stickers. Wow, you worked quite a few. Yeah. You just got quite a few, and the stickers. Now a lot of guys that used to when we went to Hamfest, we'd wear our honor roll pin on our shirt, and we would cut the 340 off of this and put right across the top of the honor roll, and they'd look at honor roll and see how many you actually had. Honor roll is 340 stations. I got 344, but I got deletes. I got some deletes like East Germany. I worked in East Germany, but East Germany doesn't count anymore. So, but they give you credit for it on total numbers. So, even though there's only 340 countries, you can have way up there. Some guys 370, 380 because they've had some many. Huh?
Yeah, 353.
353. There you go. Perfect example. And he only needs 340. Have you got top?
No, I'm 336.
336. I'm at 336 for top. Yeah. I need 4. I need North Korea, Pratis, Scarborough, and Hurd.
I got Scarborough and Hurd. I'm missing E3 and XZ.
You got yours to be easier than mine. Hurd's supposed to come up. Okay, now you got a very impressive DXCC, and impress your friends. A lot of people don't chase paper. A lot of them say, I don't care for it. Just as long as I work them, I'm happy. I differ. I want the proof. My walls are covered in my shack. I barely got room for anything anymore. Okay, so now you pondered, you've done all this good stuff, and you go, well, what's next? By this time, you've heard about honor roll, and you're thinking, what is honor roll? Where am I at? 340 is all the countries in the world. If you work 340, you got them all. That's called top. That's called number 1 honor roll. But if you get within 9 of 340, you get within 9 stations, it's called honor roll. To get to honor roll is within 9. And you count them up, and you've got 331, and then you get your prestigious DXCC honor roll. Well, I was so proud when I got this. I have been told, I don't know if it's true, I've been told that that if I'm not up near the top, I probably am. If I'm not the top, I'm very close to the top on achieving honor roll as quick as I did. Because, man, when I first started working radio, I worked nothing but DX. I'm fool with no American stations, no nothing. All I did was work DX and got it in less than 5 years. But I don't know. But it just depends on your aggression, how fast you want to go. A lot of hams just let it come naturally, and sometimes 20, 25 years they get down and roll, and they're very happy, and I'm happy for them. But man, I couldn't wait. As soon as the DXpedition was advertised.
A lot of late nights.
That's right, late nights. I'm sitting there, I'm tuned up, I'm on the band and the frequency he's supposed to show up on. Malpelo Island come up. I come home from work on the evening shift. My buddy called me. He done been off. I got off at 12 midnight. He called me and says, Malpelo's coming up. Says, I'm set and ready. Been waiting on him for hours. Okay. Where they at? Told me where to get ready for him on CW. I don't know where. I come in, I jump in the shack. I get my, can't wait the 3 minutes for the tubes to warm up, but you gotta wait. 3 minutes in tubes warm up, and I tune that old amp up, and I tune my rig up. Here come Malpelo at the third station to get him. My buddy been waiting 3 or 4 hours all day. About an hour later, he got him. He got so ticked off at me. But he and I used to horse race all the time. We find a DX station, and we go, and bam. I used to tear him out of frame. But I had a better location, I guess, with my tower. I was sitting on a hill, and my tower, the hill was here. My house is just a tad below the hill. And man, talk about a good launch site. It was great. Okay, so now you've reached the pinnacle of success. Nobody can deny you. You are Mr. DX, the honor roll. And a friend gave me the nickname of DX Dave when I was in Atlanta, and it stuck. Because that's all I ever worked. And I'd meet him on 2 meters, and he hung that handle on me, DX Dave, and it called that a lot in Atlanta area. But this is a milestone, really is. I think honor roll is a good milestone. But that's not all. There's more to go. Well, like I said, you can get into the contest, and you can look overseas, and there's your Bulgarian award. Then you start getting into some. The reason I got into these awards here, look how pretty they are. These are German region awards. It's 24 districts, or 24 or 26. That's just 2 of them. But I like them because they're so colorful. They're beautiful. They have their coat of arms of the city here and here, and they're just gorgeous, gorgeous pictures. Some are pictures of castles, and it's usually some pretty landmark within the district in Germany. And I got looking at them, and these are good awards from the ARL, but they're rather bland on color. I mean, look at the difference in color that the German awards are. So I got to look at them one day, and I said, so I just sent off and looked to see what it required. So I go up on the DARC, that's the Deutschland Amateur Radio Club. Went up on their webpage, looked up these awards, looked at the calls that was needed, went to my login file and said, wait a second, I got these guys. So I checked it out and found out that I had this one, I had that one, I had some others. So I sent off for them, and they just put these on the web, and you just go up and print them out for yourself. And I wanted to join their association because I've got several awards that I've gotten from them, but their dues are ridiculous. Oh goodness, I think something like $130 American to be a member for a year. I thought, nah, I'll just send for the award. This is one that I got. It was the Team Championship World Radio Sport Team, and that was a German award. So I sent off for it, got it, and the one I want to show you now is So after doing some foreign awards, getting the paperwork back, getting those in, got a pretty colorful shack now. colorful on the wall. And the Olympics, the Winter Olympic Games were in Russia in 2014. And so they had a contest, Winter Olympic Games. And I jumped in there late. I was about, probably 30 or 40 days late getting involved in the contest. But when I found out about it, I thought, why not? I'm home in the mornings. I can get these guys. My buddies get off at 4. I'll be way ahead of them. And so I jumped in, and when all was said and done, I came in 6th place in North America for the Olympics. Now, I would have won 1st place if my buddy had been at my house, Dave, and got me on Reedy and PSK. The guys that beat me worked Reedy and PSK, and I just barely lost these guys. But I didn't have my PSK. I couldn't get going in Meridian, so I only worked CW and phone, and those guys worked data, and of course they passed me. But I was real proud of that. They sent me some kind of little hanging banner, and it's all in Russian. I can't read it, but it says the same thing this one does in English, that I was 6th place and 1,791 points and 468 QSOs. So I was kind of proud of that one. And then I got involved in the what is that kind of the race cars, that like Indy type cars.
NASCAR?
No, the Indy.
Formula One.
Formula One. Russia had a Formula One. I got involved in that, and I came in 2nd place in North America on it. But just getting in, playing around, fooling around. I had no idea I'd win. But when I working these stations, and I'm coming up from like 118th place, and I work one day all day, and I'm up in 54th place the 2nd day. Thought, there's a chance here. Then I go from 54th to 34th, and to 20th, and I'm number 9. And I pound it, and I get number 8, and I watch number 7, I get him, and I go all the way up to 1st place. And the guy that was in 2nd place, the next day, he works a bunch of Reedy and PSK, he passes me back. So if I'd have had Reedy and PSK, I believe I could have won 1st on that. But they're kind of colorful, and I've got numerous Olympic Games. They had like different categories. That's where I placed internationally, and then there was skiing, all the different winter type sports, where you got in there and you worked until you got that particular game, and etc. So I've got like 10 or 12 different series of those that I worked.
On all these foreign award things, what do you have to submit to those places?
They did the neatest thing on this contest. That's a good question. The Russians set up a web page, and when you worked a Russian Olympic station, within 2 or 3 hours, no more than 24, the Russian would go up on their web page and log you as worked them. And it was a daily tabulation. You just go in and put your call in and tell you right where you were, how you placed, how many you needed for the next award. Neatest web page I've ever seen on a contest.
All the others work that way? Do the others work that way? Or
some do. The road race thing worked that way, and this Russian worked that way, but a lot of them don't. And they really ought to take a page from the Russians, because they done an extraordinary job of doing that.
So really, all you have to do is just apply.
That's all I had to do. I just put, when I reached 300 points for skiing, which was the top award, 100 was the third, was the bronze, 200 was the silver, 300 was the gold, and this one's gold. So I just applied for the gold, waited for the gold, applied. They send this on the web, and then you just print it out. Neatest thing in the world, the way they did that. I was really proud of that. Okay, so now we got a lot of paper, and yeah, as you can see, I did not bring all my DXCCs. I had a bunch of individual bands and with all the little stickers of how many had worked, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel a pretty good wall right there, just basic stuff, and easy to get. I mean, it's not that bad. And the nice thing about being retired is on stations like this where you're competing internationally, you got a good chance of winning. Because you're at home 8 hours where everybody else is working, and you knock a lot out in 8 hours. And it was a lot of fun to see me at least in the top 5. Okay. Well, you worked all this stuff, you've got honor roll, you've got work all states, and you're trying to figure out what's next. Well, when you check on your bands for your DXCC, you notice that you've got 100 countries on 5 different bands. So why not apply for the 5-band DXCC? And this is the original award here. That's what it looks like when you send off for it. 5-band DXCC, that means you worked 100 countries on 5 different individual bands. And I did that in August of '93. And very, very nice. Looks good in there. So you got with your honor roll plaque and your 5-band plaque, they look pretty neat. That's some of the nicer ones that the ARL put out. Okay, now, you got 5-band DXCC, you got 5-band work all zone, got 5-band states, got honor roll.
What's next?
What's next? There's one thing left.
Never ends.
Never ends. That's right. You go, what's next? Well, this hasn't been out all that long, but it's called the DXCC Challenge Award. Challenge Award, you got to work 1,000 countries.
Oh.
And when I say 1,000 countries, that means you've got to have 1,000 countries on the bands, which includes 6 through 160. And if you work 1,000, you get the plaque. Okay. And then, you get the plaque, and then they give you a little old sticky kind of a coin with 1,000 on it, and that goes there, and you can get the pin, and you can wear your 1,000 pin and let everybody know you done your challenge. The next one's 1,500. Then 2,000, then 2,500. I'm closing in on 2,000. I'm at 1,700 and something. I could have already had this had I known about it when I was chasing DX, but this came out, 2,000?
Yeah, not that long ago.
It hadn't been that long. But now what I do is I watch the cluster, and I look and see if I need that country on that band. And so I believe I'll get 2,000. I don't know about 2,500. I probably won't live that long. But then that's pretty nice. It's called the DX Challenge. Now, I have everything that they offer stateside except for prefix. CQ Prefix Award. And CQ does that one. That's different prefixes. I have the award. It requires 400 different prefixes for the award. I've got like 900, and I could send off for it, but it's kind of complicated sending off for it, so I hadn't bothered with that. But I'll probably wind up with it before it's over with. Okay. Now you've been working CW, you've been working sideband, your MIDI, etc. You've become proficient in you can DX with the best of them. You know how to do splits, and you can just get in there and get the big boys. And you done increased your station. You probably got a beam by now. You got your 1,500 kW.
We didn't hear that.
And everything is working good for you. Well, and you're getting good at CW. Well, there's 2 clubs, CW clubs in the world, that I always wanted to be a part of. I finally achieved one of them. I haven't achieved the second one. But this is one of my more proud moments, was the CW Ops Club. That's for CW. You have to be elected into it. And you have to send 25 words a minute, and you have to be able to receive 25 words a minute to be considered for membership. And then you have to have 4 sponsors. And the sponsors can come from anywhere in the world. The guy that sponsored me was a friend of mine that I get on CW with sometimes from France. If you ever watch a cluster, you'll see his call all the time, F6FKA. And the reason we became buddies is I'm a KA and he's a KA. And Next thing you know, we swapping CW a lot on 40 and 20. And he sponsored me. And he was a very prestigious member. I mean, he's well-known CW guy. And so when he sponsored me, that kind of put me over top because, if that guy sponsors him, I'll sponsor. So I got my other sponsors, and I got that. I got that December the 1st of last year. And very proud of that one. The other one that I would like to be a member of, and I don't know that I'll ever make that, is First Class Operators Club. Y'all ever heard of FOC? Well, two people from Britain have to nominate you, and they just listen for you on the air. And one day you get a surprise in the mail and shows that you're a member of FOC. Still 4 or 5 people got to approve you, but 2 have to be from Britain. And I know several people that are First Class Operator Club. They know me. They know I'm interested. But that's a little different than this. This requires 25 words sending and receiving, and you do that in the mornings on Wednesday for these stations. The FOC, they look for quality CW. That's what they want to hear. If you've got a good disc and your CW smooth and no errors, good shot, you'll make that. I probably won't make that one. I have to go and say, sorry, let me resend that. Okay. Any questions on DX and or awards? Yes.
Have you ever attempted to DX ISS?
To DX who?
Talk to the ISS?
ISS?
Just talk to the ISS?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the space station?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not been successful, but
It's a short period of time as this going over.
yeah, but I've got friends that have. I think Ray KFOXG has.
Yeah, but they don't, the astronauts up there don't do it
Respond.
like they used to. They'll talk to kids,
Yeah.
they won't talk to adults.
They wouldn't
Yeah.
meet. They were doing schools. I tried,
Yeah.
and I almost got him. But when I tried, when he opened it up, they were working school kids. Period.
Yeah.
Finished a school kids class. It was some class somewhere, and they finished them up, and they said, "Okay, we're going to open it up." And man, I hit it as soon as I could. And he said, "KA, send your call again." And 5 million people called him, and they blew me out because I didn't have any power. That was it. Okay.
Well, you can't.
All righty. Any other questions? All righty. Who can tell me? Let's see. Which one was it? I'm having a brain spasm here.
That happens to me too.
You can come up with a simple one.
All righty. We'll go this way. Who can tell me what country owns the prefix EA2? What country?
I'm not going to say anything.
That's an easy one. Not hard.
Is it the Azores? The Azores?
No.
Canary Islands?
Who?
Canary Islands?
No. Close up.
Germany?
No. Far away.
Germany. Far away.
Yeah. All righty, let's go with another one. Who can tell me the prefix Lima Yankee? LY. Okay.
I think you can tell we don't
Used
have
to
many
be part of
DXers.
Russia.
Huh?
I said, I think you can tell we don't have many DXers in the room.
Used to be part of Russia.
Yes, it did. It used to be part of Russia.
Probably Lithuania.
Lithuania.
Yeah.
Got a good hint.
How or Yezu?
We got both. I'll take the aisle.
All righty.
Congratulations.
I'm waiting for my $10 though. I'm waiting for my $10.
What $10?
For meeting.
Okay,
What?
Meeting raffle.
now for this very prestigious Yazoo cap, and I do believe it is their latest. Who can give me? Well, I'll start on a semi-hard one, but close by. VY0. Who can tell me where that's at? Okay. KP4.
Well, he said Canada. He was getting.
Oh, who is that? Canada.
Getting close.
Do you know the province it is?
Not Prince Edward, is it?
No, I don't. The only reason I know about actually back in my older hand days, I did work a bunch of Canadian stations.
Well, that's close enough. All right.
So what was it?
None of it. It was that new province that they opened up. And well, you'll learn them. I'll tell you. When I first started out DXing, after about 2 years, you could name a prefix. I could tell you the country.
What was the EA2? What was the EA2? EA2.
The first prefix.
Spain.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought surely you'd get Spain. But like I say, after I've been DXing a couple of years, you name prefix, I can tell you what the country was. I can't do that today, but I can get the most of them.
It also teaches you a lot about geography.
You'll be a geography expert, I guarantee you. I had a guy talking one time. He's a college student now, dating my daughter, and I didn't like him anyway. But he says, I asked him where Israel was. He said Europe, and I had the hardest time convincing him that Israel was in Asia. He just didn't believe it. He said, no, it's in Europe. I said, no, it ain't. College student, senior. That's all I have, Rick. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to come and
So
share.
you're gonna work on Woody? Working on Woody?
Yeah, I'm gonna get two ready real soon.
So you've got 8 band?
I got 8 band. I need 160. I got about 50 or 160, and I want to finish that out this winter.
I've got 9 band. I got 160 from Arizona.
You did? Yeah. That's a good lick.
Do all that in one radio? Or do you have a couple of radios?
I worked my first 150 countries on a wire antenna and 100 watts. And then I got a L4B linear amplifier, and I went to like 250 in about 2 months. Made the difference.
Yeah, you still work a lot with 100 watts.
You can. You actually can work them all with 100 watts. It depends on the skill of the operator. Now, when we're talking splits and working splits, there's secret to splits. There's some little tricks that you've got to know to be able to get them. And I've employed several of them. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But when they do work, you feel really vindicated that some old timer has taught you a little old trick about splits that you didn't know. I got a few up my sleeve, but until I get all my countries, I'm not sure.